Welcome back to Josh and Kristie, Stealing the Internet. I'm Kristie.
And I'm Josh. We've got some more great Reddit stories for you today, so let's jump into the first one.
Am I wrong for backing out of a massive summer road trip 48 hours before departure?
I mean, I guess you shouldn't have to go on a big road trip if you don't want to, but that is pretty close to the leaving date.
My friend Sarah and I planned a 2-week road trip down the coast for early June. We spent months planning the route and mapping out hiking spots. The plan was just the two of us taking turns driving because it's a grueling 24-hour drive total over several days.
Okay, so by backing out, the friend now has to drive 24 instead of 12 hours.
2 days ago, she called me to casually mention that a guy named Mark is joining us. I asked who Mark was. She said they met on a dating app 3 weeks ago, and he seemed really fun, so she invited him along to spice up the trip.
Sorry, why did the trip need to be spiced up? Who the hell is Mark? That's just code for she wants to bone on this trip, right?
I mean, I think, yeah, which kind of defeats the purpose of a girl's trip.
It absolutely changes the tone of the entire trip.
I was completely caught off guard. I told her I'm not spending 2 weeks stuck in a confined space with a literal stranger. I don't know his habits, his temperament, or if he is even safe to be around. She got defensive and said it's her car, so she gets to decide who rides in it. She promised he would not be a bother. I told her that totally changes the dynamic of our girls' trip into a weird third wheel situation.
2 weeks is just such a long time to be trapped with somebody you've known for 3 weeks. That's like 50% of how long you've known this person. Sorry, 40% for all of you math nerds.
I told her I'm not going. I canceled the national park entry passes that were registered under my email. Sarah is now furious. She says she can't do the driving alone and Mark doesn't have a license, so the whole trip is ruined unless I come.
Mark sounds great. Doesn't even have a license.
She called me selfish for destroying her summer plans over paranoia. Am I wrong for dropping out at the last minute?
I don't think you're wrong for dropping out. Why would you want to go on a 2-week trip trapped in a small car with, like OP said, a complete stranger? I feel like your friend should also be considering Mark a complete stranger. She's known him for 3 weeks.
Right? And those 3 weeks when you first start dating are when they're on their best behavior. You don't really know him at all, and he's just showing you his good side. It could be a complete act.
How much of that 3 weeks was just chatting through the app?
I don't even know, but I don't think it matters.
I mean, yeah, it's bad either way, but it's just extra bad if, they chatted through the app for 2 weeks and then they went on, 1 or 2 dates in that third week.
Yeah, that is a good point. It is slightly worse one way, but neither way is good. Also, I would think, not the asshole because I agreed and planned to go on a girls' trip. You changed it at the last minute, and now it's not a girls' trip. This is not what I agreed to.
I don't even know what this is anymore. It's a girls' trip with Mark. What do you even call the trip before? Going off with a stranger?
I don't know, because I do feel like now OP is going to be the weird, awkward third wheel, while her friend Sarah and Mark are in the honeymoon phase of their very beginnings of their relationship and all mooning over each other. I don't want to be around for that.
That's the best case scenario for this trip. The worst case scenario is that Mark gets really weird really fast when you're 12 hours from home and don't have your own car.
Top comment, not wrong. 3 weeks sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. OP replied, I joked about not wanting to end up on some podcast and she went completely ballistic. She kept saying I was being dramatic and that they're basically in love already. Girl, you met him on Tinder 20 days ago. I am not risking my safety because you're in the honeymoon phase of a 3-week relationship.
Okay, so they just met on Tinder 20 days ago, so there wasn't even maybe a couple weeks of chatting online that she wasn't counting towards that 3 weeks.
I don't think so.
That's so terrifying. You are going to end up on a podcast.
Someone replied to that. Mark may not be a murderer, but I really cannot think of many normal men who want to muscle in on a 2-week road trip previously planned by and for 2 women he barely knows without, shall we say, ulterior motives.
I'm sorry, OP. I just realized that you ended up on a podcast either way. So, sorry about that.
I mean, she should have expected that when she took it to Reddit.
I think that she was more concerned about the podcast being about missing people.
Yeah, I feel like ending up on an Am I the Asshole podcast is way better than ending up on a true crime podcast, right?
Yes, under any condition.
Another comment, nah, let her whine. You made your boundaries, very reasonable ones too, clear, and she picked a guy over you. Really hate male-centered women like her. They don't care about the safety of the women in their lives as long as they are getting male attention.
Sorry, I'm assuming that's a nah and not a no assholes here at the beginning of that.
Based on the rest of the comment, yeah, I think it's a nah, not a no assholes, because they definitely think that the friend is the asshole.
Did you ever notice that in like the early episodes of this podcast, I would say eesh when people were typing everyone sucks here because I didn't know what that meant?
No, I didn't. How did I not notice that? That's because I would be like, what the heck is eesh?
It's like eesh.
Oh, maybe, yeah, okay. The absolute funniest part is her expecting her friend to drive her and her new boyfriend around because the guy doesn't even have a license. That is some serious entitlement there.
Yeah, because it sounds like OP and friend were planning on taking like decently long shifts and swapping back and forth for the 24 hours. During OP's like 6-hour shift or whatever, they're just going to be in the back smooching.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Like, is she going to insist on sitting in the back seat with her boyfriend and like have OP chauffeur them? That's weird.
Yeah, and then when it's friend's turn to drive, Mark's going to sit up front with her, so OP is just going to be alone no matter the scenario.
Third wheel in it.
That's definitely third wheel.
I was totally prepared to say you were wrong because people canceling plans last minute is such a scummy thing to do. But really, Sarah canceled plans first by inviting a virtual stranger on the trip. You two had a girls' trip planned, and she, presumably without talking to you, invited a guy on the trip that she has only known for 3 weeks. You do not take a person you have only known for 3 weeks on a road trip you planned with one other friend. You're definitely not wrong to cancel. The trip has morphed into a totally different event that you didn't agree to.
Yeah, this is absolutely just a different event entirely. Like, she's just trying to steal your girls' trip and turn it into a chauffeured first date? I don't even know what to call this. I think I have to stick with calling it going across state borders with a complete stranger.
And like, I feel like even if this wasn't a complete stranger and she invited like a mutual friend along, no, we planned this girl's trip as just the two of us, and you, without consulting me, inviting a third person is really rude.
It really is. It makes all of your accommodations different.
And then on top of it, it's a stranger. That takes it from rude to insane.
Just zero self-preservation instinct inside of Sarah.
Someone else agrees. Has Sarah never watched an episode of SVU?
Or just any TV show ever?
But anyways, Reddit thinks she is not wrong. Sarah's weird and crazy, and also her boyfriend's probably a little bit weird. And it is totally okay to cancel the plans when they change that drastically.
Am I the asshole for refusing to appear in an apology video?
I'm assuming it's an apology video for social media, which makes it seem very, like, performative. And, like, I don't want to be in someone else's video. No, you're not the asshole.
Does OP even own a ukulele?
What?
Don't you know the meme where you need a ukulele for an apology video? Like that one lady did?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about when you say the ukulele apology video, but I didn't know it was a meme.
A week ago, a neighbor, 16, unintentionally scratched my car with her bike. She immediately stopped, started crying, and called her mom for assistance. Scratch appeared worse than it actually was, and in store it was simply polished away for a small amount. Since it was an accident and a very minor one, I didn't charge the girl or her mom. When she apologized, I told her it was all right and advised her to be extra cautious next time, especially around cars. A few days later, her mother wrote that her daughter still feels a bit bad and wishes to offer a more sincere apology. I wrote that everything is good and don't have any problems with them. She said they would only deliver a cake as a small act of peace. I agreed and thought, okay, that would be sweet.
Yeah, free cake. I'm down for that.
When they arrived, girl was holding a cake box in her hands and her mother had a phone.
No, don't do that.
The girl began muttering about taking responsibility and putting things right, but it appeared as though she wanted the earth to engulf her.
No, the girl's not even in on this. The mom is making her do it. No.
Then her mom quietly said, now give him the cake and ask if he accepts your apology. I looked at her again and asked if this was being filmed.
I do not like this mom. She's like using this to get social media clout and like using her daughter. You shouldn't use your kids as like props for social media, especially if they are not like 100% willing to do it.
I feel like 16 is plenty old enough that she should have a say on whether or not she's in the video. And it sounds like she does not want to be in this video.
Also, I feel like filming it like this makes the apology much less sincere. And it's just the mom wanting to use it online to be like, look, I don't know if it's either look what a good daughter I have or look what a good mom I am and how I've raised such a good daughter.
Her mother said that she wanted to make a video as it serves as an excellent illustration of how young people can take responsibility for their actions. She said she could hide my face, but she needed to video me accepting the apology from her daughter. I took the cake and told the girl that everything was okay between us and that I had already accepted her apology the other day. Then I turned to her mom and said I didn't want to be part of the video. She started arguing with me, said that I could have just let her finish properly, but in the end, I just went home.
Yeah, I don't even think that. Well, I can blur out your face. That is not even an accept. If someone says they don't want to be filmed, don't film them. It's really rude.
Yeah, and OP had already accepted their apology because it really wasn't that big of a deal. It sounds like she just scuffed the car with her bike handle and the shop just polished it off. It seems like overkill.
It really does.
Girl mom is upset with me now and doesn't even say hello when she sees me. For the sake of good neighbor relations, perhaps I could have waited 30 seconds. But I don't like how a simple apology was transformed into a scene. The girl seemed really uncomfortable. I was filmed without my permission, and after it was published, I might look like someone who demands apologies from kids. Am I the asshole?
Not the asshole at all. Like, you were not a willing participant in this video. It sounds like the daughter was not a willing participant in this video. The mom majorly sucks for doing this.
Yeah, like the situation was resolved really nicely. And then mom's like, what if I profited off of this?
Yeah, it seems just really scummy. Also, mom's whole argument of it's a good example of taking responsibility for your mistakes and everything. Daughter is never going to take responsibility for her mistakes again if she knows that it's going to result in mom making her make an apology video like this. Like, it is great that this kid was like, oh my gosh, I scratched a car, contacted the guy and was like, I'm so sorry, let's make it right and everything. That is great.
Technically, she started crying and called mom, but that's still pretty good.
Yes. In the future, she's going to do something like this again and be like, I'm just going to slowly walk away, pretend like nothing happened. Don't let anyone know, because if I do, mom is going to humiliate me online and make me do an apology video.
I have to assume that OP just destroyed the shot because he didn't put any like spacing in between his like acceptance of the apology and denial of allowed use of his image. He said it in a way that made sure that she couldn't cut it out.
Which is probably a good way to make sure she doesn't use your footage. I might have like had a hand up towards the camera the whole time so people knew I didn't want to be in it. Like as I was talking to the daughter.
That would be quite the video to see, wouldn't it? If daughter was there apologizing and the person she's apologizing to is just like shying away from the camera the whole time.
But I would get his point across. Like, I do not consent to being filmed like this.
Top comment. So not the asshole. That's really creepy and bad parenting.
I just feel like she's teaching her daughter all sorts of bad lessons.
OP replied, that girl looked really sad and embarrassed. She was forced to do it, no doubt. Like, it's also a good lesson for your kid to find out that you don't have to go above and beyond and bake an apology cake when you do just a minor inconvenience to someone else.
I mean, it is nice if you do that, but like, filming it takes away all the niceness. And I bet daughter would have been okay with taking the guy a cake if it wasn't being filmed and her mom putting it online and humiliating her like that.
Probably. From his post, OP doesn't sound like too intimidating of a person. You know, obviously this is all from his side of the story. I don't know. He doesn't sound too scary. He like just waved it off and was like, yeah, they just buffed it off and barely charged me anything. So we're even. Just be more careful.
Yeah, he seems nice.
Another comment. Not the asshole. The girl's mom no longer talks to me. I love it when problems solve themselves.
Oh, yeah, that is nice. Like, it's not a huge loss, honestly.
Not the asshole. That mom wasn't making a video to show that young people can take responsibility. She was making a post so that the internet could give her kudos for publicly shaming her daughter. That poor girl.
Yeah, the mom somehow turned this whole apology into something about her. Which, like, she was only peripherally involved in this. It shouldn't be all about her, but she wants it to be all about how what a good mom she is and she raised a good kid.
Yeah, it's like the videos you see on TikTok where they're like Okay, now repeat what you just said to me. Mm-hmm. It's essentially that.
It's very staged and nobody likes it.
And that is very firmly Reddit's opinion on this too. You're not the asshole. This was just performative parenting to like show what a good mom she is.
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, it really helps us out, and it lets us know we should keep making fun content like this for all of you.
Am I the asshole for not allowing my niece to serve herself during a family dinner?
I mean, maybe. It depends on how old the niece is and how much of a slob she is.
Background. Brother-in-law has a 15-year-old daughter, B, from outside their marriage. Never once denied her. She's his firstborn. B's been in our lives since she was a baby. Love them all, so no bias when I say B's spoiled. The biggest problem is B has a huge issue wasting food. She will load up her plate, eat less than 30%, then throw the rest in the trash. Every time. I brought this up to my sister and brother-in-law multiple times. Nothing done. I have no issue with her eating as much as she can, but she overloads her plate, then throws what's left in the trash.
Okay, well then, yeah, this does seem like really bad manners on B's part.
When I brought this up during family dinners, her parents excused it as her not liking leftovers, and that at least she cleans her plate, throwing what's left in the trash and rinsing her plate to put in the sink. I asked why don't they pack it up as leftovers for themselves, and was told, we'll do that from now on. They didn't.
I mean, we all accidentally overfill our plates sometimes.
But, only eating 1/3 of your plate?
That's extreme, and doing it consistently is just rude behavior.
The dinner before last, I organized everything. I usually do. And when we sat down for dinner, I handed my niece a plate. She said, "Oh," and took the plate. I told her she can always get seconds once she's finished. A day after, I got a text from my sister saying I humiliated my niece because she was the only teenager who was not allowed to make her own plate, and that I treated her like she was greedy.
I mean, this is really something the parents should have been teaching her not to do. So it's kind of completely on them that you had to take it into your own hands.
Right, I sometimes think I don't want to parent other people's kids, but this is affecting me. She's wasting my food that I prepared.
And she is your niece. You're allowed to chime in on bad habits that your nieces and nephews have.
I don't mind her taking as much as she can eat. In fact, at one point, the family was worried she had an ED and was loading her plate to mask how much she was actually eating. But it wasn't that. She eats, but she's also not overeating. She just overloads her plate and wastes what's left. She even did the same thing with cake, which I didn't serve her. Took 2 slices to start, ate 1 slice, scraped the frosting off the other slice, and threw the remaining cake in the trash.
Who takes 2 slices of cake to start?
That in itself seems rude.
Yeah, that is just rude behavior right there. You can go back for a second slice, but you're not allowed 2 slices until everybody gets a slice, unless there's 2 distinct cakes, and then you're allowed 2 half slices.
Not wasting food is something that was greatly instilled to all of us as kids, so my reaction is just instinctual. This last dinner, I said nothing, but my brother-in-law kept making passive-aggressive comments anytime any of their kids went into the kitchen to get something, even drinks. Did you ask your uncle first? Make sure your uncle is okay with that. Make sure you didn't take more than you're allowed, and BS like that. I didn't want to talk to him and start something, so I asked my sis, and she said, "Well, this is what you wanted, right?"
Uncle, start something. Just start something at the table. Have a good family spat about it. Sometimes you need to.
It has never been about permission. Now I feel like they're making me the bad guy to my nieces and nephews.
'Cause you just quietly took it.
So, honest question. From an outside perspective, was I the asshole in this situation?
No, I don't think you're the asshole. I think it's just instilling proper values into your nieces and nephews to not waste food, even if it's not important to them, at the very least, so they don't get called out about it when they're out in the world on their own. You can't just waste 2/3 of your plate like that. Just take smaller portions. At a family gathering, no one's going to say anything to you. It sounds like in this family, no one is going to say anything to you if you get up and get a second plate. Just have a small plate and people will be like, "Are you not hungry?" You get that nagging instead. But that nagging doesn't come with anybody giving you glares. Maybe grandma scoops a little extra onto your plate because you're just skin and bones.
And then I like how the sister said I humiliated my niece because she was the only teenager who was not allowed to make her own plate, and I treated her like she was greedy. She's also the only teenager who is wasting food like this. So yeah, that is why she is being singled out. The other kids apparently know how to fill their plate with food and with the proper amount.
I'm personally more of a fan of just verbal shame than handing them a plate shame.
Yeah, I do think I also would have tried verbal shame before I moved into this, directly handing them a plate with a set portion. But if that didn't work, I would move on to this method.
Yeah, it feels like just some good old-fashioned family shame is the correct response here. It's just maybe this should be coming from the parents. But if they're not going to do it, I think it's completely normal for like a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle to do this.
Also, starting with the verbal shaming gives them time to realize their mistakes they're making and correct it themselves. And then if they don't do that, then you correct it for them by handing them a set portion.
Was there a point before the handing of the plate that they did call them out about it?
They've been talking to her parents about it, but I don't know if he doesn't say if he's ever directly talked to his niece about it.
Oh, okay. Because I feel like the way it would be handled in our family is one of the adults in the room would probably be like, that is way more food than you can eat, kiddo. Just can you do a second plate later if you want more? Not like in a mean way, just in a that's too much food, you're wasting food way.
Top comment, your niece is 15. She's old enough to understand that the waste is the issue. Next time your brother-in-law and sister start their passive-aggressive BS, correct them in front of everyone. Then explain to your niece that she is welcome to eat as much as she wants, but wastage is not okay, and ask her to please only take what she will actually eat and come back for seconds if she's still hungry.
Yeah, but it does sound like her parents are the defensive type of parents, where like if you call out their kid on anything, they take it as a personal insult.
Oh yeah, I definitely see that. That does seem like what's happening.
Which is why I feel like OP just needs to be prepared for a good old-fashioned family spat in the middle of dinner. Just be prepared to yell at each other over the mashed potatoes.
NTA, who teaches their kids that this is okay? I bet when she starts paying for her own food, she suddenly doesn't have this issue anymore.
I mean, maybe. I personally have no idea how to cook for myself in a way that doesn't create leftovers. If she doesn't like leftovers, what do you do with the rest of the food when you're an adult?
Throw it away.
That's just such a waste of food and money. I can't afford that. You just gotta make perfect portions of chicken and green beans every meal.
Confused why you aren't being honest with your niece? Surely the only way to stop this behavior from all of them is to make sure everyone understands the issue you're trying to avoid. NTA. And then someone replied, it sounds like it's been brought up and the kid just keeps doing it anyway. And then someone else replied to that, it sounds like it's only been brought up to the parents and they clearly haven't relayed or even actually understood the message. So Reddit is also wondering how much conversation is going on around this and who is involved, because does the niece know that this upsets you?
Yeah, actually, what did OP say to niece when he handed her the plate?
I told her she can always get seconds once she's finished.
So, didn't address the issue at all?
Nope. He just handed niece a plate and she was like, oh, confused. Why are you handing me this pre-portioned plate?
That could be misinterpreted in so many damn ways, OP. You gotta be a little clear with her. She's 15, she's not psychic. Like, if you're not gonna actually say the reason you're handing her the portioned plate, I feel like there is zero chance that she can learn the right lesson from this.
Yeah, I feel like just more conversation about this whole issue is needed. You just need to talk it out until you resolve it. Or just stop inviting them over for dinner.
Right, that seems like an extreme response to this, breaking up the family. But I mean, if you're not willing to talk to them about the problem, I feel like they're just going to stop coming to dinner.
Because they are very offended by this.
Right, and it sounds like only the parents know why they're all offended about it, and then are making the situation worse by taunting all of their children every time they get up for a refill on soda.
But Reddit is pretty firmly NTA here. Letting her continue to waste food like this is not okay.
Am I wrong for waving a chopstick at my friend's baby and yelling Avada Kedavra as a joke?
No, don't even joke about Avada Kedavra-ing your friend's baby. That's not cool.
Calm down, Voldemort.
Shh, don't say his name.
I, 26 female, was at a friend's house for dinner. Her baby is about 8 months old. We were eating takeout, and I picked up a chopstick, pointed it dramatically at the baby, and yelled, Avada Kedavra!
Avada Kedavra! Is that how he yells it in the movie?
I think so. In a fake wizard voice, because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. The baby just stared at me, and everyone else laughed except my friend, who got really upset and said it was inappropriate to joke about killing a baby.
It kind of is.
The algorithm's gonna love the wording on this one. I apologized immediately, but she still hasn't accepted my apology and is acting pretty cold towards me. Now I'm wondering if I did something genuinely awful and just didn't realize it, or if she's overreacting.
Kind of both, I think. But, pick a different spell to cast on the baby. It'll be just as funny if you're like, Wingardium Leviosa.
That's top comment. You couldn't have gone for Wingardium Leviosa. You're wrong.
But also, it is a joke. And I get dead baby jokes bad. But it's a joke. Maybe mom should be like, hey, that's not cool. And then let it go.
Yeah, I just feel like there were so many less extreme magic spells OP could have said. Didn't even have to be Harry Potter. Could have said abracadabra.
But that's not as violent, so it's not as funny.
Somebody commented, yep, if you're doing baby magic, always go levitation, not murder curse. That feels like basic wizard etiquette.
I mean, if you really, really wanted to use that spell, you could have at least done it instead of the big dramatic wizard voice, done the little... You know that meme?
Yeah, even that would be better, or just not pointed at the baby when you do it.
Yeah, why do you pick the baby? Pick on someone your own size.
This is how you get chosen ones. Do you really want chosen ones?
He's creating his own arch nemesis.
I'm not superstitious, but don't joke about my baby. In any context whatsoever, just don't. When it comes to their child's safety, that's just part of most parents' brains that couldn't give a single shit how irrational it was or whether it's real. The least superstition person on the planet still gets funny about karma out into the world about their baby. Them coming to harm is literally a parent's worst fear, and it's an anxiety like nothing I've ever experienced.
Yeah, it does sound like maybe you struck a nerve with your friend. But, I mean, also, I feel like being like, hey, that's not cool, is enough of a reprimand. You don't need to be holding a grudge about it.
Yeah, it was like a joke in poor taste, but maybe it didn't need to go beyond the initial scolding. And then OP does have a short update.
Okay.
I've read through the comments and I accept that most people think I was wrong. I did apologize. That said, I still think my friend is taking this way too seriously and needs to learn how to take a joke. I waved a chopstick at a baby and made a Harry Potter reference. I wasn't exactly performing dark magic in her living room. The next time I see little Timmy, he's catching another Avada Kedavra from me.
No, don't double down on it.
OP learned nothing.
Nothing. It's not like I'm doing dark magic in your living room, as he says the darkest magic spell that exists. Even if he doesn't actually have magic. You know?
This muggle is trying. Okay? He's not succeeding, but he's trying.
Am I the asshole for rigging a win-a-car competition and stopping a certain person from winning?
That sounds like asshole behavior. Why are you cheating?
Several years ago, I was doing some temp work and got a 3-day contract from a major car company to data enter contact cards for a competition/promotion they were running. The deal was, if you purchase any X or Y brand of motor oil, attach the receipt along with the competition slip/contact card, then you can send it in to go into the drawing to win a car. No limit on how many times you could enter. I don't want to give specifics, but it was around an $80,000 US car. It was nice.
Okay, so there was no limit on entries?
No limit.
But you had to physically mail them in. I wonder how they handled free entries on this.
What do you mean free entries?
I mean, this is US based, right?
Yes.
You legally have to have some method of entering a drawing like this for free. And if the paid method of entry is mailing it in, then technically the paid method of entry is harder than the free method of entry, which is generally mail in a postcard.
Why is there a free method?
Legally, there has to be a free method to enter any contest, or else it's classified as a raffle or a lottery, which is very illegal.
Oh.
You cannot require purchase or money to run any kind of contest, or it turns into a lottery.
I was wondering why you bring that up, but if it's a law, that you are familiar with because you did social media for a long time and ran entries, drawings like this.
The amount of arguments I've had with clients who say, buy our product and we'll enter you into this drawing. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't want to do that because it quadruples our budget and you can't afford that. Just let everybody enter for free. Just comment on this social media post.
Okay, wait. No, you said it's illegal and now you're saying it just quadruples the cost.
Sorry, no, what I mean is that it quadruples the cost to have a paid method of entry. If all the methods of entry are free, the restrictions on your drawing are much lighter than if you have a paid method of entry.
Okay, we are going way too in depth on the legalities and methods of running a raffle/drawing.
I mean, probably, because it sounds like OP's job was data entry, so I don't think they were having to deal with any of the lawyers.
Okay, but anyways, for this drawing, you send in your receipt for the motor oil you bought, you get entered into the drawing, you can do it as many times as you want.
Okay.
At this time, my partner's car was old and had just broken down again and needed repairs, and she was struggling to get to work. So I was in the mindset of knowing just how much winning a car might mean to someone in a position like that. To get to my point, in the process of data entering people's details, I kept seeing the same name/email coming up. By the 5th or 6th time seeing them, I was thinking, wow, this person really wants to win this car. Good on them. By the 20th time, I was starting to get suspicious at the amount of motor oil this person was buying just to enter this competition.
Okay, OP, no. They were using the free method to enter the contest because it sounds like they didn't set this contest up in a good manner. So they probably just spammed postcards in, and you're the data entry person. You don't have to probably check the receipts. They probably just handed you a pile of names, right? OP, please tell me you didn't violate federal law.
But I still thought it was believable if someone was committed and maybe a bit crazy or desperate enough.
Or runs an auto shop.
By the 50th, though, I knew this wasn't just some normal person, so I grabbed up all the past receipts I could find and saw the pattern. Every single receipt was from the exact same service station. Sometimes there were several receipts for the same day, a few hours or even a few minutes apart. So it wasn't the free method, there were actual receipts attached to these entries.
I mean, that still does not give OP the authority to throw their entries out. This could have been a gas station attendant who's like, hey, can I have your entry?
I was pretty confident now that I knew what was up. This was someone who works at the service/gas station, and anytime someone buys motor oil, rather than tell them about the competition or simply toss away the receipt if the person didn't plan to enter, they obviously saved them all up so they could send their own entries in.
Are we going to find out if that's actually against the contest rules? You shrug? Because unless it's stated in the damn contest rules, that's not against the rules.
I can't recall if entries were conditional on you having to purchase the oil yourself to enter, but this person obviously didn't, which at least mattered to me. For all the people out there who I knew would probably cry with joy and relief if they won this car, here was this person, probably being selfish and sneaky on their job, keeping others' receipts for their own gain. And I didn't think they deserved a win for that.
I gotta say, since OP has the receipts and can check the receipts, it sounds like there was no free method to enter this contest, which makes it an illegal lottery, so you're an asshole for that.
Hey, they did not set up the contest, they're just data entering.
It sounds like they're doing more than data entering here.
So to finish the story, there ended up being over 200 entries by this person, probably closer to 300, and every single one I found went straight in the bin. So, am I the asshole?
You're an asshole and a felon.
Okay, they do say went straight in the bin instead of straight in the trash, which makes me wonder if they're like from the UK. Are the rules different in the UK?
Wasn't the car's price in US?
It was in US dollars. So is this the US or the UK? I don't know.
Because I'm only aware of how these contests work in the United States and Canada. Because we're in Michigan, I've worked on a lot of brands that have some overlap there because we're right on the border. And the way it works in Canada is it's too damn complicated. Don't run a contest in Canada. They have the craziest damn laws. Like, there has to be an element of skill. So after you win the contest, solve this math problem. Like, if you're just gonna half-ass the last part of the stretch, why have the law, Canada? Sorry, that's irrelevant.
I think your whole rant about the legalities of drawings is irrelevant to this post.
I don't know if it is. It sounds like they were running an illegal raffle, which makes them an asshole behavior because they're a member of a criminal organization. And it sounds like they're discarding entries. Presumably, somebody other than OP got to look at these entries and validate whether or not they were legitimate entries, or was OP just in charge of this contest and hasn't admitted it?
Okay, I think you missed the point where this was a temp job of 3 days.
It was a temp job of 3 days, wasn't it? What the hell is OP doing? You don't have the authority to throw out entries. There's like whole ass documentaries about the jerk who, rigged the McDonald's Monopoly contest. OP, you're pushing into that territory here. Like you didn't give the car to your fiance or whoever had their car just break down. So you're not at that level, but you did break several laws.
Top comment. Every contest I've ever entered has a clause saying that employees and their family members of the manufacturer or the distributor were banned from entering the contest, likely to prevent exactly the kind of thing you describe here.
Yes, but that's not a mandatory clause. It's just a clause that the lawyers put in to minimize the odds that you get sued by somebody who's mad they didn't win the contest. And it sounds like OP had nothing to do with writing the rules. It sounds like OP barely knows the rules. I'm getting really mad about this one, Kristie.
Someone else says, I'd say NTA. Someone cheated, so you invalidated their attempt to cheat. Seems fair to me.
What evidence is there that there was any cheating?
That's what someone else replied. How is it cheating?
There's no limit on entries. Maybe this person was like, I really want that car. I bet I could get like 300 entries if I just stood outside of a gas station and bought motor oil for literally everybody that wants motor oil at this gas station. What if they're just like a complete good Samaritan? What if they're a YouTuber? They're just like standing outside of the service station like, hey, can I pay for your new oil? I really want the entry.
So then there's like a whole thread of people fighting about whether this is cheating or not.
There's no fight about it. It's OP doesn't have the authority to decide if it's cheating. My God, like all of our contests that I ever ran, the entries were generally online. Sometimes they were through a website. Sometimes they were through social media. We'd always, you'd bring them into a spreadsheet. You make everything random, as much as humanly possible random. And I'm just saying, if I found out that the person doing data entry, the 3-day temp worker doing data entry, was throwing out contest entries and opening me up to being sued as the contest organizer, me and that data entry person are going to knife fight in the parking lot.
Someone agrees with you, but not so vehemently. You are way out of your lane. Contests like this have a lot of rules and regulations that must be followed, which likely includes processing all entries received. This is not the stage where fraud or rule violations get flagged. If you were not instructed to disregard these entries, then you're the asshole. You did not do the job you were hired to do.
You're going to get this company sued. And you were just, your whole job was to type in name and address.
You're the asshole. You were hired to perform data entry, not to make value judgments about the data and deliberately manipulate the results. If you were concerned that you may have discovered malfeasance taking place, and after all, it's still just what you guess was going on, not that knowing it for a fact would have changed your role, the appropriate course of action was to report it to your employer and let them decide how to handle it.
Yes. That would have been so much better. I'm sure somebody there would have known just instantly whether or not these were valid entries.
Right, just be like, hey, I noticed this guy has like 200 to 300 entries, and that seemed a little suspicious to me. I just thought I should bring it to your attention.
Yeah.
I entered them, but just so you know.
How much better is that sentence than just throwing things in the bin? Kristie, I'm just so mad about this one. This is just, it's one of the most stressful parts of advertising, trying to run a giveaway.
And I know you had to do it quite a bit.
Yeah. One of the energy drink companies I worked on gave away things twice a month. And it wasn't even anything big. And you still have to obey every single one of those laws. The couple times where I gave away an actual, car, I was just like, hey, you, client, need to hire a lawyer. Here's one. I got one in my Rolodex who specializes in contest giveaways.
You Rolodex. You're so old.
No, it's still called a Rolodex if it's digital, you asshole.
You're so mad you're getting mad at me.
Yes. Why would you bring this to my attention? I feel like I have become liable now. Just by knowing about OP's sins.
You're the asshole. It wasn't your place and you were assuming. You could have escalated instead of going Batman on it. I do like that. He just went all vigilante on this contest.
Really did. Just imagining this person as a scammer and whoever wins the car is going to be so grateful. Sounds like this person might have also really needed a car.
Right? They're working at a gas station. I bet the money isn't great.
Assuming that they're working at a gas station.
Yes, which is the assumption he made. So,
yeah. I don't know. This is just completely out of line behavior here.
So Reddit is kind of split, but it feels like they're mostly on your side with saying they're the asshole. But there's a larger than I thought percentage of people who are like, they were cheating and you caught them. Good for you.
Just, there's no evidence that they were cheating at all in that post.
It's like, your job is just data entry. Just enter the data and be done with it.
Why do you care this much about a 3-day temp job, guy? Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor that people hate her for the construction work being done on her house?
Well, I feel like hate is a little bit strong. Why is the construction so bad, though?
I, 23 female, have a neighbor who's been at their house for just over a year. For 7 months out of that year, they've had basically non-stop construction and work being done to their house.
That is a really long time. What are they having done?
I have no idea what they could possibly be doing. The construction is Monday through Saturday, starting at 8 a.m., sometimes even earlier. Not only is the construction itself loud, but the workers are loud. They're always yelling, singing, playing music. If you ask them to be quieter because it's 8 a.m. on a Saturday, they retaliate and get louder.
Ooh, that is not cool. Like, at least be a little bit respectful of, like, the neighbors and they're trying to live their lives.
Yeah, you don't really want your construction workers antagonizing the people you need to live next to. They throw stuff into people's gardens and physically enter those gardens to retrieve whatever they threw down. Their vans block the road when people are trying to get to work and school, and they get really pissy when asked to move them.
You can't block the whole road. Like, if people are asking you to move them, it's because you're blocking the whole road, right? Like, nobody can get past? That's like, illegal.
Yeah, it's just polite to try to park them a little more towards the edge there. Additionally, because our houses are attached, I'm having physical symptoms to the work being done. Vibration from tools give me horrific migraines, etc.
Ooh, that's terrible. I was thinking like detached houses, but no, these are like the connected, like almost townhouses.
Yeah, so OP is experiencing more of this construction than most of the other neighbors, I guess.
Like, they're right up against it. There's only like a thin wall between them. Oh no.
I genuinely do not know what they could be doing that requires 7 months of continuous work. It's not an extension, and all the work seems to be exterior.
I mean, how much work can you do exterior? Replace the siding and the roof? Like, how long does that take?
I just want to know how OP could possibly not know what they're doing if it's all exterior.
Yeah, that's also a good point.
Also, you could ask, hey, what you doing?
Well, don't ask the construction workers. They're mean and retaliatory.
A few days ago, the neighbor asked me why there is so much tension between her and the surrounding houses. Maybe I'm cruel, but I looked at her and said, neighbor, you've had loud construction work at your house every day for the past 7 months. People are tired.
I mean, that is fair. People are tired. They're waking you up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. I would be mad.
You do start to form a real grudge against all of those construction workers. Even if the construction workers were just minding their own business, you start to form a grudge against those guys who are up at like 7 a.m. and driving their equipment around.
Yeah, like we had a neighbor doing construction work and it was just for a few days, but they started at 7 a.m. and I was mad.
Our sophomore year of college, the dorm across from my dorm was being demolished and rebuilt. And they were out there, I think, 7 days a week. And like, I was a college student. I like to sleep in.
Right? Yeah. You're up all night, and then when you're trying to sleep all day, they're working and being loud. College kids need their sleep.
She looked genuinely upset, but said okay. Her husband confronted me a few days ago and said I was being a douchebag for getting mad at construction work. Because, of course, that shit is loud. He accused me of blaming his wife for the workers' behavior, which I wasn't, and said the house needs this work to be livable. He ended the conversation by saying he prays my house never needs construction work, which I honestly found kind of funny. Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor why there's tension between her and her husband and the surrounding families?
I'm going not the asshole. And the title made it sound a lot worse, saying the neighbors hate her for having construction. You just said, you didn't say hate. You just said, hey, you've been doing construction for 7 months. We're all tired. Which is honest and true and not especially mean.
And you still didn't take the opportunity to ask what they're doing.
Yeah, why? I'd be so curious.
Me too. I want to be like, hey, are you just like completely redoing... Well, I was going to say, are you completely redoing the interior of your house? But OP said it was all exterior.
What could possibly be taking 7 months? I do not understand.
Do you think OP meant to say interior? How could the house not be livable if it's all exterior work? Is there no roof on the house?
Is it like structural damage in the walls and the roof and they need to like basically rebuild the whole outside? I don't know. That still doesn't seem like it would take 7 months.
I could see a full remodel of the house taking over 7 months. But if you're just doing... Those are extreme construction projects.
And I don't know. I feel like, yeah, it would take us 7 months to do it. But this is like a full construction team. I feel like if you have that many guys working on one house, how big is the house? Because it can't take... It takes like 7 months to build a house up from scratch sometimes, right?
It's a townhouse or something because they share a wall with someone else. It can't be that big of a house. If you have a big house, you sure as hell don't share a wall with your neighbor.
So it is a, at most, moderately sized townhome that they're like rebuilding. And I feel like that should not take 7 months, 6 days a week.
Maybe that's why the construction team is so mad.
Also, like nowadays, a lot of people work from home. I feel so sorry for everyone in that neighborhood that works from home and has to deal with that construction noise while they're like in Zoom meetings or whatever.
Yeah, that is rough because they're probably doing construction through the entire workday and then a couple hours extra at the end of that.
Also, the husband being like, you can't get mad about construction work. Of course, it's going to be loud. Yeah, but you don't expect it to go on for 7 months in a residential area.
At least not without knowing what they're doing. I can't get over that part. Maybe I'm a nosy neighbor. Because OP has the ability to talk to this couple. I feel like I would have been like, hey, what you doing? You've been at it for a long time.
Yeah, like we're not like friends with our neighbors. Like we're friendly, but not friends. I'd be over there being like, hey, what you doing? I'd be like, ooh, they're outside right now. Let me go outside and water my plants and then be like, oh, hi, what are you up to?
That's like step one, because the construction team is just being complete assholes. So I want to find out what you're doing and then maybe ask you to get the construction workers under control.
Yes, and I do feel like the construction workers being a-holes and being like purposefully loud and blocking traffic, that's something that the homeowners need to deal with. Either by like talking to the construction workers themselves and being like, hey, can you please be nicer to our neighbors and keep it down a little bit? And then if that doesn't work, take it to like the company that they hired and be like, hey, do you know your workers are like really loud and obnoxious?
And throwing stuff in my yard.
Yeah. And then in the neighbors' yards and stuff. Like this, the homeowner should be the one to handle getting the workers under control by either talking to them themselves or contacting their boss. Because I bet that company is would not be happy to find out that, like, their workers are being a big problem and giving them a bad name.
Probably not, unless, like, the owner is out there with them, being just a big asshole. OP does have a quick edit. People have made complaints and gone to the local council. We were basically told that as long as the noise is between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. and 1 p.m., I assume that's weekend hours.
Yes.
We can't make a complaint. Neighbors do have permits as well.
Okay, well, I mean, of course they have to have permits, but if people have been going to the council and complaining and stuff, I mean, the cops have probably shown up for a noise complaint and talked to the neighbors. The neighbors know that the rest of the neighbors are not happy about all this noise. So why are they like so shocked and surprised and think that OP is a douchebag for bringing it up?
Yeah, because these guys are just out there like It sounds like loudly singing and yelling at each other at like 8 a.m. Come on. I understand construction work, and I understand that. Yeah, I would say I understand that you gotta scream over like all the construction noise, but this is residential construction. Like, it's a hammer banging and like some power tools. You don't need to be yelling over like a backhoe backing up.
And can we not turn the radio on until like 9 or 10 a.m. maybe, please?
Yeah, I have to wonder if any of the neighbors asked politely or if they just went straight to, "You assholes, turn that music down."
And that made the construction workers mad?
Yeah, but that doesn't make them not the asshole. Probably should turn the music down, guys. Because like any construction sites that, I've been to, when it's like a smaller group for residential construction like this, there is usually a radio just blaring the whole time.
And it's loud because they want to hear it over their power tools.
And in any part of the property that they're standing in, too.
Yeah, when our neighbors had a new fence put in, those guys were blaring music so loud for like 4 days.
Yeah, and that was just like 2 guys doing the whole fence. So I can't imagine a whole team. Well, I mean, I can, because we've had other neighbors that have a whole team there. Top comment, they totally can deal with the bad behaviors of their workers. They are paying them. If it's a larger company and you can see the name on the vans, try contacting the office and ask their employees to be considerate. If me, and not saying this is nice, I might take those items out of my garden and lock them up. Just this lost property in my garden.
I was thinking it was like roofing debris. Like trash that they were throwing in the yard. Because that happened to us when our other neighbor got a new roof. They were just ripping off the old roof and throwing it off. And a lot of it ended up in our yard.
Yeah, and they came by and cleaned it up. Like, they didn't. They did a half-assed attempt at cleaning. I still found a lot of nails in our driveway.
So I was thinking it was just trash making it into their other people's yards. But yeah, if they're like throwing like tools and things in there, yeah, this is my tool now. It's on my property.
Actually, I think OP has a comment on that. It's not nonstop vibrations or workers in my garden, but they've been working around 168 days now. So there's a lot of vibration when they work. They are pretty much always yelling and blasting music. They've also admitted that they drop stuff, bricks, tools, etc. in my garden because I have grass and my neighbors don't. It's not every day, but again, it's a fair amount. So it sounds like they're just tossing things in OP's yard because they don't want to get their tools muddy.
Or I was thinking it's like they're not going to destroy the grass by throwing their tools down there, but the neighbor has like nice landscaping with lots of different plants and they don't want to destroy their plants. It's one or the other.
They don't want to damage the yard they're working on. They need that yard to look nice.
Yeah, because then at the end, that needs to look nice when they're like, look at the beautiful work we've done.
Not the asshole, because construction isn't the issue anymore. It's the complete lack of consideration for everybody living around it. She asked why people were tense, and you answered way more politely than most people would after 7 months of chaos. OP replied, "Yeah, most people's issue isn't the construction, it's the workers. I've dealt with professional and kind workers, and there's been no issue." Somebody replied, "Has anyone told her the construction workers are being unprofessional? Their litter and the volume of their music is something she can discuss with their boss, but she needs to know about it first. I know it should seem obvious, but you'd be surprised what people miss without ill intent. If these problems have been brought to her attention and she doesn't try to fix it, then yeah, she's definitely an asshole." OP replied, "Yes, they know. There have been multiple situations where people have had to ask my neighbors to ask the workers to move their vans that are blocking the road because the workers won't listen to regular people. And every time those people tell my neighbor to talk to the workers about it, either she does and they don't care, or she doesn't. I have no way of knowing for sure. My other neighbors have also said they've gone over to talk about it."
Okay, so the workers majorly suck and are very unprofessional and terrible.
It is starting to sound like maybe they're just having a lot of landscaping done in their backyard.
I don't even know. Just cannot. What on earth is taking 7 months?
I don't know, and I'm so curious, and it really bothers me that OP doesn't seem curious enough to investigate it.
And like, it's outdoors. Why can't they just see like, hey, they've had new siding put on recently? What are they doing?
Just peek over the fence, OP.
But I don't think it's landscaping because the husband said that they needed this construction work for the house to be livable. That doesn't sound like landscaping to me.
I guess so. OP was just so vague on the details. Like, all we know is that they're throwing bricks and tools into their yard. So bricks made me think maybe they were building a patio, but I don't know, maybe they're redoing the side of a house that has, a brick wall. But overall, Reddit says not the asshole here. 7 months is insane. Like, it's an insane amount of time for construction to be going on, and it's an insane amount of time to have to endure almost daily construction.
Am I overreacting, or is my husband being a jerk?
Is that the full title?
That is the full title. Not a lot of context to go on.
I mean, in that case, then yeah, he's being a big jerk.
For context, I, 32 female, have been married to my husband, 34 male, for 6 years. We have had a really happy and loving relationship, but in the last year, he has developed this strange habit. I like buying myself expensive snacks every once in a while to spoil myself, and I like eating them either on my periods or after a long day. He knows that since I've been doing it ever since we were dating. I always tell him beforehand that please don't eat this, I'm saving it for an occasion. If you want, I will give you some then. For the past year, every time I buy myself snacks, when I come home from work, they're gone. Not even a single bite left. So I ask my husband, and he either says, I forgot you told me not to eat it, or you must have eaten them and forgot.
Do we find out how OP is storing these special snacks? Are they in their exclusive special snack location?
Because I have one of those.
Right, I know not to touch any of the food in Kristie's nightstand, or there will be tears. I will sometimes be offered a piece of chocolate from the sacred nightstand location.
It's a whole drawer full of candy and delicious snacks.
Honestly, you should clean out that drawer. Is that all? Some of it must be expired by now.
No, it's all good. I'm going to eat it all.
It's good forever.
The first few times I brushed it off because, yeah, mistakes happen, blah, blah, blah. After that, I started getting annoyed, so I hid them. Still, this man would search for them, find them, and then eat it.
OP must have really good snacks.
He still had the audacity to tell me, oh, I forgot. This continued for a good 6 months, and I was pissed. I told him if he wanted my snacks so bad, why doesn't he just buy himself some? He just went, yeah, I will. But he never did.
I just really like the idea of husband finding some chocolate shoved into a vent and being like, I'm going to eat this. Oh, there's just some chicken in the wall.
Chicken in the wall.
I'm going to eat this chicken. I'm going to have some wall chicken.
This kept on going on, so I even started putting sticky notes saying, do not eat. Yeah, you guessed it, he still ate them. It's not like I didn't share them or buy them with his money, so I didn't understand why he kept doing this. But I still let it go because I thought I was being petty. Last week was my breaking point. We went to a nice place on Friday night for a date, and we ordered our food. I got an important work call, which I couldn't avoid, so I excused myself and went out to take it. I was out for 15 minutes max. By the time I came back, he ate the one thing I ordered for myself and didn't even touch his own food.
Bro, this is beyond just like, I couldn't resist your snacks this one time, right? Like I was starving for a snack, so I stole some of your chocolate. I'm sorry, I will replenish your supply.
He's not even remorseful.
No, it feels like he's seeking out her stuff. This is a form of food aggression.
Obviously, I was visibly angry, and he said, your food looked good, and I didn't want it to get cold. So you ate it? I didn't shout at him. I just told him that I wanted to leave, but he hadn't finished his food since he was busy finishing mine.
Is he not ordering enough food for himself that he can still eat? Like, what do you mean? You ate all of your wife's food. How are you still hungry?
And now he's going to eat his food, which he didn't want his wife's food to get cold, but his food got cold while he was eating her food. But now he's okay to eat his cold foods too.
What is this logic?
I told him I'll take a cab home and left before hearing his protests. When he reached home, he was mad that I left him alone in a restaurant and said people around him stared.
I would stare too if the person next to me had to go out and take a phone call and their husband just reached across the table and started scarfing all the food off of their plate. I would be watching that guy in fascination. Like, is he not getting enough food at home?
I told him the people around him didn't steal each other's food and then told him we'll talk tomorrow. I'm angry right now. Not just about the food, but about him lying to my face, trying to gaslight me, and honestly being a bit of a man-child. Am I overreacting?
I don't think you're overreacting. Like, it is the privilege of every husband to occasionally steal some of their wife's snacks.
But stealing all of it every single time?
All of it every single time is such problematic behavior. There's limits. You can't steal the super special one, but sometimes you can go and steal a handful of Cheetos out of her Cheeto bag.
Also, when she confronts him about it, he's like, you must have eaten it and just forgotten. The audacity.
That is like a wild excuse right there.
It's like extreme gaslighting.
How does he expect that one to go? He's just so charming that he can make a joke about her. Oh, you must have eaten that. Haha. And he'll get out of trouble. And honestly, it sounds like it worked up until this restaurant.
Now, I was wondering, like, is she the only one who does the grocery shopping and she's continually buying little treats for herself and doesn't get any treats for him? I mean, that's not cool. And then I can kind of see him, like, stealing some of her treats. But she's like, why don't you just go buy your own treats? And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. And then never did.
Does OP ever buy him little treats? I mean, it sounds like it doesn't matter how many treats you get. It sounds like he's going to eat your treats first.
Yeah, at this point, it does sound like that. You can get him treats for himself, but he's just still going to eat your treats and then his treats.
Because I am guilty of, I eat my treats much faster than you eat your treats, which is why occasionally I have snuck a couple Cheetos out of your bag, because I'm like, I'm out of chips. I've been out of chips for a week. How does Kristie still have chips?
How dare you take my Cheetos?
I never buy Cheetos for myself because the Cheetos are always yours.
Yeah, if you have Cheetos, I want your Cheetos. Those Cheetos should be mine.
We're both demonizing this guy, but we could both very easily slip into his persona very, like, we're not far away.
But I think the thing is he eats all of it. He doesn't save any, like, at least save me a little, at least, I mean, realistically, you should at least save me half, but at least a few bites.
Just go out and get your own snack, and then I feel like you'll have less anger directed at you if you went out and got McDonald's and didn't get your wife any than if you stole her food.
Top comment. Not overreacting. He is doing this on purpose. I don't know why, but it is obvious.
Did he grow up with like a lot of siblings?
Where you gotta eat the food fast before it's all gone.
Right, and like you gotta prioritize eating the community food before you eat your own food so that you have food later.
See, I might think that, but they've been married for 6 years and he just started doing this a year ago.
Oh, it's not excusing his behavior at all. I'm just trying to explain his behavior because I don't know why you would do this to your wife or anyone, honestly. Don't steal food off of people's plates.
Another comment. I'm infuriated for you. This man has zero respect for you.
And then he's just seeking out your hiding spots. That's such weird behavior. That's like teenager behavior right there. Like if you were a parent trying to hide a snack for yourself and it went missing because your teenager found it, I'd be like, yeah, they're growing. They eat literally everything they find. This is an adult. Don't steal your wife's stuff.
You're not overreacting. This man is gaslighting you. What the fuck? You're underreacting. He's lying to your face and you both know it and you're just accepting it? Girl. And then OP does have an update in the comments.
Oh, okay.
Update. I sat down and tried to talk to him, asked him why he kept on doing this and told him straight up that it was disrespectful and not funny. I asked him whether he was struggling with an ED, what was going on, what's the problem here? And he said, don't read so much into it. I'm fine. I just want your snacks.
And your dinner, apparently. It's not a don't read so much into it situation. You're causing problems in your marriage.
Then I asked him again why he didn't buy the snacks for himself then. And he told me that there was no need since they were already at home. And then he turned on the TV.
Sorry, OP. It sounds like you might have married an asshole.
I stepped in front of it and told him that I was talking to him and he should have the decency to at least hear me out. He didn't turn off the TV, so I switched it off. I told him that it wasn't about the food, it was about respect. He replied with, you're overreacting. So I just went to my room, packed my bag, and called my friend to pick me up. I'm in the car with her right now. I will be divorcing him. It's a shame that 6 years of marriage will be ending like this, but I can't handle this sort of disrespect any longer. I will be updating everyone soon. Thanks to everyone who commented or messaged.
Okay, I mean, My first instinct was to say that escalated quickly, but it didn't escalate quickly, did it? No, that was like 6 years of buildup.
Also being like, I'm not going to buy my own snacks because we have snacks at home. Well, then you ate them and we don't have snacks and I want snacks. So do I got to buy more snacks? I already bought the snacks and you ate them.
Sorry, we did not have snacks at home. I had snacks at home.
And someone replied to that update. And his story will be, she divorced me because I ate her snacks. He's a child. I'm sorry you're going through this.
Yeah, can you believe she's throwing such a fit over a few bags of chips and some chicken that was in the wall?
Okay, stop with the wall chicken. First of all, chicken is not a special little treat for yourself, okay? It's chicken.
Have you checked our walls? Maybe I'm hiding chicken in the walls.
Why is there chicken in the walls? That's not a good place to hide snacks, especially chicken.
Some people listening to this will get the reference, and that's all that matters.
Okay, but then OP had another comment saying, actually, since he is such a man-child, I think his mommy deserves to know how he's been treating his wife. I will be calling her tomorrow. We're pretty close, so he's definitely going to get a good scolding. I know it's petty, but fuck him.
I mean, good for you, OP. It kind of sounds like he's just pushed you over an edge here by refusing to acknowledge his behavior. I can't imagine doing something that bothered my partner so much, just continuously. Like, what do you expect the end result to be?
But Reddit definitely says not overreacting, and since he doesn't even seem willing to talk about it or admit that what he's doing is wrong, divorce does seem to be a valid option.
This one is from R, the 10th dentist.
Okay.
It should be illegal for parents to steal their children's nose.
Okay, let me hear his arguments against it.
When I was 3 years old, my father stole my nose. Then he ate it.
Cannibalism!
Since then, I just haven't been the same. Some parents think this is funny. I say it's child abuse. We should teach our children to respect bodily autonomy.
This is ridiculous.
I think it's worth debating, Kristie.
Okay, I will admit, sometimes having your nose stolen can be traumatic.
Didn't I accidentally make one of our nieces or nephews cry because I stole their nose?
I think yes.
They were really stressed about it. So, as somebody who has committed this sin, maybe I went too far. Before I go into comments, the mod team actually had to make a comment on this. We typically remove posts regarding, I think this should be illegal, since laws are inherently political in nature. We also tend to remove stuff involving violence and injury, which stealing someone's nose definitely is a violent act. Although noses are mostly a cosmetic feature of the face, as you really just need an opening, the forced disfiguration of someone against their will constitutes this as a form of violence, especially against children. That being said, we are making an exception in this case because it is our understanding the nose can be refitted to the face the moment the victim touches their face or looks at their reflection.
Oh, see, it was always like when I was little, someone would always steal my nose and be like, I got it. Oh, look, I'll pop it back on. And then they pop it back on your face. So it was all okay.
That's assuming that is a responsible adult and does re-affix the nose to the face.
And this person, his dad stole his nose and then ate it. It is eaten. It is gone. It cannot be reaffixed.
So in a perfect society where every parent then puts the nose back, sure, it's just fun and games, but there's always that one person who takes it too far. There's that one person who then steals your sibling's nose and swaps them. And then
outrage!
You're never the same. Nothing's gonna smell right ever again. Top comment. I once had my nose stolen twice the same day. I literally still shake when I think of it to this day. So there are a lot of people who are traumatized by this behavior. But I will add in, this is R the 10th dentist, so it is a heated discussion.
Oh, okay.
As a parent, it's my right to take my child's nose. OP, you're the asshole, their child, their nose.
My child, my rules.
I brought you into this world, I can take you out of it.
At least your nose.
Somebody else comments, I agree. My dad stole my nose and hid it behind my ear. It hasn't smelled right since.
Ooh, stinky.
Somebody replied to that, because he hid it in your left ear.
Is the left ear inherently worse than the right ear?
Because they said they haven't smelled right since.
Oh, puns. Okay, I get it. Oh, so punny.
We're doing dad jokes on top of this. This is dad behavior, so we need to add in dad jokes.
That pun just went right over my head.
People across history have taken their children's noses. Back in my day, my dad took my nose, and one day I'll take my kids' noses. You can tell which people didn't get their noses taken as kids because they're entitled and snobby.
Is that why people are entitled and snobby? Never have been robbed of their nose?
It does kind of put you in your place.
It does.
It lets you know that this is a cruel world and you have to be kind to your fellow man because at any moment, just any moment of the day, someone could take the nose right off your face.
But is this a lesson that we should be teaching our children as young as we have been teaching them? Like, should we wait until they're a little bit older to steal their nose?
Yeah, but if you wait too long, you risk them being like a teenager that can overpower you and steal your nose back.
Oh, yeah. That's not cool.
You gotta assert a certain amount of authority while they're still young. Somebody else replied, "Once when I was 5, a trusted adult stole my nose and threw it out the car window. I instantly stole his nose and glued it to my face with super duper strong cement. So, skill issue. Sorry, OP." You keep looking at me like I'm ridiculous. This is a serious issue, Kristie. Can you take it a little more seriously here?
I'm sorry, I'm not taking this seriously enough. Nose theft is a serious issue.
That plagues this country, and I believe other countries as well. This cannot just be a U.S. epidemic. Although I will say, OP's post has shown some people the error of their ways. I'm in the habit of A, stealing my children's nose, and B, eating it immediately afterwards. Looking at this post, I've realized the error of my ways, the heinous acts I've committed upon them, and the trust that's been shattered along the way. I hope one day they can find it in themselves to forgive me.
I do feel like stealing the noses of children is an age-old tradition. But just because it's a tradition doesn't mean it's right. Maybe in this day and age of enlightenment, we do need to realize that it is wrong and make it illegal.
Yeah, I can see the logic of maybe we don't need to be teaching our children such a harsh lesson. I know the world is a cruel and scary place. Maybe mom and dad don't need to be part of that cruelty and scariness.
All right, that's our last story for this episode of Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet.
Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you next time.